was right. I'm the problem. I messed it all up. Well, you guys are all coming back on. I'm going to go ahead and get some stuff up and we'll jump right in. Has anyone, so Gigi had a question about just, being able to like refine what he's doing so that he can get better results from it. He's putting the work in, but it's a matter of like getting a little more results from the work he's putting in. So that always comes down to just like optimizing and tuning. Anytime you're doing the work, but it's not giving you the result, it's basically clear feedback that there's something needing to be done different. It's never the fault of the market, because there's clearly deals in this market. I've even used our techniques in San Diego, which is, a lot of work, but still works. You can still get deals. They just make a lot more when they get deals. So what we talked about today, for Gigi, anyone else who's, looking on the MLS, which actually is like most of the people on the call, so, is actually looking for deals. What we talked about is there's multiple levels of the MLS that we do. Level one is what you hear me teaching all the time, which is basically search it daily, look for opportunities like where the numbers are fairly close and they've priced it pretty well, meaning that like if you could buy the property, you would likely buy it at list price or better. That's what we're always kind of solving for. When we do that, we go pretty far back. So level one would be if we're looking every day, we just look, the day before. But if we haven't really done a good job of looking, or we think we're going to do something different, then we might want to go like 30 days back and look at everything for 30 days. The reason we're doing so much of that is because we're really just kind of weeding through and looking for what we call low-hanging fruit. It's the 80-20 rule. We're looking for the 20% of the opportunities that drive 80% of the results. Versus if you aren't selective enough, then you'll get kind of overwhelmed and you'll just end up working a lot of different deals and you'll miss out on the good ones, because the secret to success at level one is speed. It's being able to see a deal, recognize it, and then take action on it. So the fastest way to get quick is to go out, see a deal, take however long it takes. You're probably going to lose because you're slow, but then guess what? Like anything in life, once you've done it a couple times, you get a lot faster. So unrealistic to think you'll be really quick and perfect at it the first time you do it, maybe even the first 10 or 15 times you do it. So secret is you just keep doing it and then keep kind of getting this feedback loop going with me and the group. And so the more you're kind of interacting with me on the call and saying, hey man, here's what we're doing. Can you look at it? Can you look through this deal with me? Can you kind of just see what's happening? Kind of, give me some pointers. Often if we were to do that every day, we'd probably find some things that I could tighten up for you, because there's a lot of detail to what makes it work. This is true for everyone on the call, by the way. I'm not just, Gigi asked me to speak about it, but just happened to be perfect timing because Brian asked me to speak about it. But everyone on the call right now is going to be looking for a deal or, currently looking for a deal. So perfect timing. So when we go first level of the MLS is always just looking for low hanging fruit, identifying something that's been priced well, that we can jump on and that we can win due to our ability to be fast. Right, and get in the door before other investors, like other slower investors, come in who are willing to pay too much. Because the guys that are really quick tend to be really cheap and they don't pay a lot. They're always looking for a good deal. The slow money comes in and they tend to be unaware of numbers. So they tend to use the wrong ARVs. They tend to think 40K in work is actually only 30K in work. So they're usually buying when you're always wondering like, well, how can they pay that much? Well, it's really the simplest answer is always the right one. They're paying that much because they think that the value is different than what you think. So they probably think it's worth more, the work's less, and that's allowing them to pay 10, 20K more than you, which that's okay, because our mission is obviously to win as many deals as we can. But when I don't win a deal, my true mission is to make sure whoever won it doesn't make money. And I'm not doing that to be mean. I'm just, this is my competition. So if they buy the house and they overpay for it, then, ultimately they're not going to probably be competition in the near future, hopefully, because they only can do so much of that before they give up. With that being said, I don't really have to hope that for people. That's just the reality of 98% of the people that are buying on the MLS. The only pattern that I've seen to beat that problem, right? So remember we were talking about, before I got cut off, we were talking about being a problem solver. Well, the problem we ran into is people overpaying, paying too much for a house and overpaying. The solution I found was that a pattern is like not all the time, but more often than not, people that overpay, they are slow. And when I say slow, meaning they might make an offer 6 days on the market, 7 days, 10 days, but they generally aren't in the day one making an offer and then paying too much. Sometimes they do, but like most of the time they don't. That's just a pattern we see. So if you can get in on every deal that you see and like, and you can get in there quickly, make an offer, and you can be really fast about it, then you're going to create a competitive tactical advantage that you can use against the majority of the market. At this place, the second level of doing this, once you feel like you're doing that well, and I told Brian this earlier, and I think it's true for Gigi and Linda and everyone else, it's really level one. Perfecting level one is always better than going to level two. We only go to level two when we've actually taken some time to really hone in level one, because often level one is all you need. It's level one is all I do. I never go to level two or three because I don't have to. And level one is going to be the most productive, meaning it requires, once you get good at it, the least amount of work to get the most amount of results. So we always want to do whatever's easiest and what's going to get us there soonest. When you're new to it and you haven't honed it in, however, level one can seem complicated. It could seem slow, but it's not that level one's not working. It's not the MLS is too tough. It has more to do with you just haven't gotten your complete balance within your systems. You haven't gotten your techniques honed in perfectly. And once you do, you will start seeing results. I've seen people work on this sometimes for a few weeks and get a result, a few months, but as long as someone consistently works on it and keep honing it, I've never had a student not be able to make it work. So it really, what usually will happen if someone doesn't make it work is 100% of the time when it doesn't work for someone, it's usually them giving up before they've given it a fair chance to work, or before they've really just taken the time to hone it in. With that being said, if you're in that place and you constantly say, Mike, it's not working, you're more than welcome to ask me a million times and say, I need help when it comes to this thing that's this important. Because there's really two drivers of income, and that's going to be finding deals and then being able to do the contractor stuff we were just talking about. So we will talk about the contractor stuff and finding deals all the time, because like there's probably two subjects, if you want to be great at this business, that you should never stop learning about, you should never stop improving upon, and that's going to be those two subjects. And the third one being selling stuff. But if you get the first two right, you're going to be pretty awesome at this, even if you weren't that great at the third one. A lot of people run great businesses who can find deals and get the work done. So if you get the work done, you can make some pretty great money. But you got to be able to find a deal, and you got to be able to get the work done. Two things. They kind of go hand in hand, by the way, because if you're estimating incorrectly and you don't really know that well, then you could easily walk in a house and say that needs 80K in work when it really only needs 65. Well, think about the damage that 15K does to your offer. It often will cause you to lose. So there's no better way than to say, Mike, here's what I'm looking at. On the call, I'd like to run over it. Like, you guys got some deals you'd like to go over, look at. There's no better way to us to look at these deals, me to hone it in, give you some feedback, and just, because every time you get feedback, it plugs a hole. And if you think of your boat as being has a lot of little holes in it, right? And a lot of the holes will cause it to sink. Then we got to start filling them in, right? One by one, until there's no holes and it's floating well, and you can go out to sea and have not die. So that's what we want. We want you to get a great deal, and we want it to happen pretty quickly. Well, as quickly as you like. I mean, it's quick for some, slower for others, but it always just a matter of like family, time, work, all those things, right? They kind of play a role in how fast we can make things done. But the good news is I'll work with you, and you'll never hear me get upset with you or impatient with you, because I know that if I can stick with you long enough to crack the code to like getting deals, you'll be very happy that you joined the program, because you'll be in a very select group. Like, very few people ever get great at finding deals. I want all you guys to be amazing at it. And that's why I'm so happy when you guys come to trainings, you come to these calls, everything, right? I want you guys to get a ton of value. So level two, let's jump into that. I'm going to question real quick, and I'll put the questions up. Hey, how do you prefer we let you know about a deal? Is email or text best? There's a deal submission form. I'll make sure I put it on I'll put it on the Facebook group, and it should be there. But when you let me know about a deal, so I can be clear, and we were talking about this on the earlier call, make sure that it's actually a deal, not something that random things like, is this a deal? Is this a deal? Is this a deal? I require you to answer that question yourself first and get it wrong, because there's, just be wrong about it, because as I see where you're wrong or where you can use improvement, we can focus on that and help you improve. I can point you to the right trainings. I can get you some worksheets and some practices that you can do to sharpen up in that area, because every one of us has room to sharpen up, and some area we could use help, and whatever that area is, I'll get the best feedback of that, not guessing, but I would get it through you doing the work, and then me saying, okay, you did the work, Great job for doing the work, but here's where we can, this is strong, and this could use improvement. Why? So the best thing you can do is just make sure you feel like the numbers make sense. And if you do, there's a deal submission form. You submit it. I'll usually get back to you pretty quickly. Yesterday was my only day I was kind of out of whack because I was in a training seminar that I really was paying a lot of money to be at, and I didn't want to. Every time I took a text, a guy would say something genius, and I'd be like, "What'd he say?" And Tiny would be like, "I don't know, I didn't write it down." I'm like, "Crap, man, I got to turn my phone off because I just lost probably the coolest thing ever that I could be sharing with the group, because it was all about automation and systems and some really cool stuff that I'm now applying to the house flipping stuff, like high level stuff that's going to kind of change the game for us. But so I didn't, I had to be gone most of the time. We don't have a problem with it. And me and Tanya, based on what this guy's teaching us, is actually creating a system. When you guys submit the deal, form, I'm gonna have a way that she can get you back some comps, and you can look at it and just quickly give you some feedback and information on it. And if it looks like it's a pretty good deal, which she's very good at spotting because that's what she does for me, then she can get me involved. And that way it'll make it easier for me to get involved when it's actually kind of past what we'll call like we'll call it like a baseline standard, right? That it is actually an opportunity there. If you get into it and maybe you missed a couple things and it's something that's not a deal for X reasons, she easily could say like, hey, this says that you can't even buy it as an investor for 17 days. Hey, the comps on this are really 200, not 230, which makes the deal pretty far off, right? She can help with a lot of that stuff. So me and her are kind of walking through and building a system out for that. But we work together. So we're right next to each other. So obviously if she needs me to give any feedback on anything, I can do so. And if it's actually kind of a deal, and meaning it's an opportunity for you to get in the game and potentially have a chance to win, then I want to be in front of that, and I want to help you win, because that's the mission of this group. And about a month and a half ago, everyone in the group had a deal. Now everyone needs a deal. It seems like that's the ebb and the flow, right? The ebb and the flow is like we go from having a deal to needing them, but that's all cool, right? We can do both of those things. So level 2, and I'm only going to tell you this so you know, but really the moral of level 2 and level 3 MLS searching is that you never give up. You never create an excuse. We always just go to the next level of looking. And because that's being resourceful, that's figuring out how to get it done versus, saying, you know what, this is the reason I can't get it done. Asking for help and being humble is very important, because someone has the answers to that, right? Someone knows how to make this happen within this group, or, within like our higher level group. Someone's definitely going to be able to make that go work. So asking for help. Level 2 is going to be getting on the MLS and then taking, we basically look for everything that's been on the market over 60 days. And 60 days, what our change of focus is going to be focusing on properties that have been on the market for 60 days plus, some all the way up to whatever, 1,000 days. We don't care how long. But once they're on the market at least 60 days, we know that their price is now more negotiable. So some of the rules that we have on level 1, where we need to be offering pretty close to list price, do not apply for this. But there is still a rule. There is still a optimal area you want to be. So if something was listed for 100K and you're offering like 85, that's in a ballpark. So we're kind of thinking like 10 to 15% roughly, within a 10 to 15, maybe 20% on the high end, because people aren't normally just going to take huge discounts, even if they've been on the market 60 days. But you don't know. So if you were going to offer half price on a 100K listing, I can tell you the math is you'd probably have to put about 100 offers in to get one of those. You might even do more than 100, but it's pretty high. So we want to focus on the things that if we make 10 offers, we would get one of them. Yeah, so this is how I would go through that. If we do 10 offers, so the closer you are to list, the more likely your offer is to get accepted. So we don't want to focus on stuff that's listed for half price. So we have to pay half price of what it's listed for, even if it's been on the market a year, because people generally have, whatever it's listed for is what they're expecting to get. They are more negotiable if they've been on the market a while, but they're not going to be insane where they're just like, yeah, I'll take half price. That's why it's like a 1 in 100. There might be one insane person in 100, but likely 99 are going to say no. And the problem is you're not likely going to do something and put a full offer in on 100 properties. You'll never get to the 100th one that works. You'll likely give up before you ever get to it. That's why we always want to qualify a little bit. Now, the difference is if we see something that's listed for 100 and we can pay 85, we can pay 90, I'm going to get pretty excited about that, knowing it's been on the market a while and that there's a chance they'll take less money. Right? There's a really good chance we can get them to take 80 to 90,000 bucks for that. It's definitely worth a phone call. So what we do so that we don't waste a lot of time and eat a lot of time is we do a quick phone call. That phone call might be like, hey, Mike, I seen your listing and, I see you got it for 100. You've been out there a while. And I was thinking about putting an offer on it, but I'm going to be coming in around like 80, 85, man. I didn't want to like offend you with that. Is that something you think your client would even consider? And bam, period. They're going to be like, nope, or maybe. If we get a maybe, then we ask more questions to get more clear about how serious the maybe is. So, well, Michael, let me ask you, you say that they might take it. Do they owe a bunch of money? What is the reason they've been out at this price? And those will start saying like, I've seen you've been out a while. Like, what are other people been telling you? So I might say something along those lines. And I'll be like, well, people have been not buying it for X, Y, Z reason, this and that. So, I obviously don't want to waste your time. And, I'd certainly be willing to let you write the offer for me because I'm a realtor, but I only have my license to be able to get on the MLS. Or if you're not a realtor, just be like, I'm a professional investor. So, that's what I like to say, professional. It kind of makes you sound cool. All right, you don't have to be a professional investor, but you can say I'm a professional investor because I think you're all pros, but whatever, just say something that sounds cool like that. And I'd love for you to put the offer in if you're willing, but I want to be very cautious of wasting your time. So the reason I ask so much about the price is really I just don't want to waste your time, have you write all the stuff out if you don't think there's a chance. And then usually when you connect a reasoning behind why you kind of want to get a feel for whether your price makes sense, they'll tell you. They'll be like, I think that might be worth my time because X, Y, Z. Or they might be like, nah, it's probably not going to happen. They turn an offer down higher than that recently. And when you start getting that information, that's enough to say, I appreciate you taking the call. Maybe we'll hook up on another deal. You get off the call. It takes like 2 minutes to do that. But if they say a lot of good things, then we stop and we can put an offer in, right? We go ahead and get our numbers together and we put an offer in. But we want to make sure we feel pretty comfortable that that offer has a shot. So this is what we're always measuring is, does my offer have a shot? Because putting an offer in on a property is a very strong commitment of your time. Because if they say, yeah, I think you can put the offer in, well, now you got to get really tight on the ARV. You got to do a line in a budget. You got to kind of get the info that's necessary to put the offer in. So with that being said, now you might even bring it to me. And, obviously I can only evaluate so many deals. So I can't evaluate like 30 a week for you. But, if you get close and they're giving you all the right signs, that's when I want to get in the game with you. Because I want to help you tighten up your offer to the point where you can make the strongest offer possible and do the best you can do with winning. The only way you can make a super strong offer is for you to really know what you're looking at and really take time and do a little bit of due diligence. Because if you don't, then the way people make up for not doing due diligence is they generally get conservative. They're like, well, I'm sure it's like between 215 and 230. So let me just go with 215. But the thing is, it might be really worth 230. And if it is, we need to know that because at the end of the day, like that 15K could be the difference in the offer getting accepted or being thrown in the trash. So like it might be the difference in offering 85 on a 100K house that's been out there for 3 months or offering like 70. 70 is enough for them to be like, F you, I'm not even going to consider your offer. Like I won't even counter at 85. You never know. You make them an 80K offer, though. Maybe they counter you to 85 and the thing works out and it makes sense. So that's how we handle it, right? We always want to make sure we're doing that. And that's really what level 2 is about. It's about looking and focusing on things with higher days on the market, taking a slightly different approach. And why we have a level 2 and we have a level 3, it's all about seeing different segments of the market that we will not see when we do level 1 search. Level 1 search, you're not going to see 60 days on the market because, and generally, we're looking for things that are newer to the market. Level 2, we're going to see things that are very old to the market, but we're not going to see things that are new. Now, in level 3 is going to be, and you want to do these in order, by the way. You never want to do level 3 if you haven't thoroughly done level 1. But level 3 then is going to be looking and finding everything that's under contract currently. And you're going to look through it and pick out anything that looks like it's in bad shape, like a house you would buy. And then you're going to see what it was listed for, how long it was on the market. And if the numbers look like it was listed for a fair price, like you see something listed for 100 and, it was on the market 7 days and went under contract, and now it's been under contract for 2 weeks, it might be a great time to call the agent and say, hey, Brian, I know you got a house listed under 123 Main Street. Congratulations. It looks like you have it under contract. I was wondering, I was thinking of making an offer around X, right? 101,000. And I was wondering if that would make sense to be a backup offer. Is that offer, would that be even competitive compared to the current offer? And if they're like, yeah, that would be a good offer, but we're under contract, then if they tell me they think that number would make some sense, then do I want to kind of like at least at a bare minimum send them an email and say like, hey, if anything falls apart, here's the terms. I'd be right around this price. Here's what I could settle. You want to just send them a templated email saying, here's my stuff. Let me know if anything happens. And why we do a lot of that, and that requires more, that's going to be like a 1 in 20. So that's why we do it like in that order, because we want to do the thing that requires the least amount of calling and a lot of effort. But you might talk to 20 people, and what will happen if you talk to 20 people is one will inherently say, well, I'm so glad you called, Brian, because, well, I guess you were Brian was the agent, but, you know, let's pretend Brian is the seller or the buyer. So I'm so glad you called, Brian, because actually our deal's falling apart. This works really good in highly competitive markets because the things that nobody's paying attention to are the things that are overpriced and the things that are houses that are under contract. Once it's under contract, no one pays attention to it. So there's a lot of money to be made when you're in a very competitive market, which really we're not so much, but like Gigi and Linda, if they're like 15 miles from their house, they do have a lot of competitive markets around where they live. So in order to like get the next level of looking is you totally could look and you just basically are going to be like, hey man, and as someone will tell you, like, my deal's falling apart, and I think I could get your, you know, something like your offer might be something they would entertain. So that's number one. Number two is, as you've done it, and you keep doing that regularly, guess what you start getting? Calls. You start getting people saying, hey, Gigi, are you still interested in 123 Main Street? And if the answer is yes, that's a really great call because we think it might be falling apart. Right? And you sent them the email, you reminded them. I even like, if they give me a hint that my offer would be good, I like to kind of do a follow-up and just make sure everything's settled. So there's a lot of things you can do. And we really do those levels simply because they're just a very different way of approaching it, but they require more work. So we only do them when we have to, because if the easiest route is doing level one, it's going to be a lot less work to do level one. But if you really were like, I completely refuse to let the MLS fail me, then you just go level one. There's nothing to look at. You go to level two. You do your work. There's always something to look at on level two. There's always going to be houses 60 days on the market. Secret to all these is we're always looking for something in bad shape, just so you know. So if you're actually like going to level 2 and 3 and looking at houses, you would not be doing the work if the house looks in good shape, because if it's in really good shape, its likelihood of falling apart is very low. But if it's in really bad shape, its likelihood of falling apart is much higher. Because, you know, think about it. People get in, they find stuff they didn't see. You know, maybe, you know, I told you people kind of come in with low estimates because they don't look at stuff. That's how they win. But maybe when they get in, they realize like, crap, we only like estimated half the stuff that needs to be done. Well, then people tend to just get out of the deal and say, you know what, take my deposit. I don't want this deal anymore. So that's really important, right? We want to make sure that you're looking at deals that are in bad shape because they'll have a higher likelihood of falling apart for level 3. In level 2, they're going to have a higher likelihood of them eventually realizing they'd have a turd house and that, you know, it's not very desirable. No one's buying it. That's why it's been on the market. So there are 2 secondary ways of looking on the MLS. I put them in order of importance, level 1 being the most important, level 2 second, level 3 third. So any questions around, like more specific questions around how to do it, or, you know, how we choose, or if not, once you guys get your questions out, I'd love to kind of walk through, and for anyone who's looking, I know a lot of people on the call are looking for deals, so I'd love to walk through and just like kind of look at some deals, because I know there's deals out there right now.
Mike, this is Wei. Can I ask a question about basement?
Oh, hey, I'm sorry. 1 second. Hey, you guys can hear me okay?
Right. Hi, Mike. This
Hi.
is Wei. Can I ask a question about basement renovation?
Okay.
Yeah. So the town we are renovate the making the full basement, and the town needs a permit. So he told me I can do handwriting. So I don't want to spend money for the architect to draw the drawing. And so I don't know what I need to give to them. So except the layout, what else I need to indicate?
I feel like I missed some stuff in what you're asking for. So what are you doing in the basement? Just finishing it, or you said you have to do tile?
Yeah, the basement, they look like before they look like a finish.
Okay.
They have like little thin, very thin panel.
Yeah.
After I peel off the panel, there's the stones are not right, and there's no insulation, no vapor barrier, and the floor is like a plastic the square floor and the glue on the concrete. So basically, we have to do the water, water barrier, vapor barrier, and also the insulations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to take the basement out and then frame it and go ahead and do it all correctly, make it nice.
Right.
Okay. Now the paneling you have, is it in bad shape? Has it fell all apart or has it gotten wet?
Yeah, it's because of the water damage. It's like
Okay.
a wrinkle.
All right. So you need to fix that. Okay. So what the better person to answer that question, obviously, is if it's a basement, you should be able to do, like, I don't know how crazy to go with the drawings where you are, but you kind of need to go to the permits department, ask them what needs to be done.
Okay.
Yeah, because they'll tell you what they'll accept. I went there and spent a day there one time, and they let me do it on graph paper, and I just indicated where windows were, what changes I was making, stuff like that. So what I would do is do a graph paper drawing of what you're doing that's done to size and scale, and then take it to them and just say, what else do I need? And be prepared to be rejected potentially, because you might be, but often you'll learn what it takes to do it. Because future reference, if you can do it without an architect, which I don't know if that's the case, because sometimes like DC, they make you have an architect, things like that. They might do that where you are. If you can do it without an architect, then you just need to understand how to do it, because often the layout stuff is very easy. The only time you need like a specialist person is if you're doing structural stuff, and nothing in the basement you would be doing is structural. So it's all going to be, stuff that's very, very basic.
Right.
So I was able to do a drawing, and then, they told me this sucked and I fixed it. And we went back and forth a couple of times, and I left there that day with a permit. No fun, but I left there with a permit, and that was all that really mattered. Because then I could do it. So that's kind of how I handle it, because, even in Maryland, I couldn't answer that question properly because it's different in every county.
Right.
Like, literally, it's different in every county, and it changes quite often. So, I could probably tell you in the counties I work the most in, but for the most part, it's always you got to go figure it out. But also, I tend to hire an architect. Now, when I hire architects, I don't hire like architect firms. I hire people who know how to do drawings and who can get stamps on their drawings. Because it's much like hiring like a very high-end plumber or general contractor. You're going to spend a lot of money on them. But if you hire someone who just knows how to do drawings, and maybe they're not even a licensed architect, but they have someone that'll sign for them. Like, I'll give you a great example. Ken, who had to do DC drawings, his first estimate was like $8,500 for those drawings, because they require you to have an architect. He shopped around, and I told him who to find, and he ended up finding someone who could do it for a lot less. But then I believe he also found someone who was like legitimate, but was just not a high priced person. He got it all done for $2,500. And that was the guy pulling the permits and everything. Yeah. So like, did the structural stuff, did everything for like $2,500. With that being said, often just doing like a basement drawing for somebody doing drawings, a couple $100. It shouldn't be more than a few $100s. And if you were getting the right person to do it. So one or two things, either go out and try to figure it out yourself, which I think you could if it's possible, or you could at least realize whether it is you can do it or not. Or two would be using the funnel and finding someone who can do it affordably, because most of the time it can be done affordably. It just really is only a couple hours work to do the drawings down there for an architect. So that would be my advice.
So when you do the wall, how many layers, like a between stones and foundation, do you put a layer of like the plastic between them? And then you put insulation. Then after insulation, inside you put another clear plastic. How do you do that?
Well, there's just, you're going to waterproof the basement, and then you're going to put plastic around the walls,
Right.
and that's it. Then you do insulation. There's no more plastic. You don't put any plastic over the insulation.
Oh, okay.
The plastic's just to take any moisture that might come from the concrete and then stop it from hitting the back of the sheetrock or the insulation.
Okay.
They don't want the insulation getting wet or, kind of having moisture to it, because it could create mold back there. It's kind of nasty. So, if you put plastic around the wall, you don't need any special plastic. You can literally go get plastic from Home Depot and liquid nail it to the wall or staple it to the joist above it. It takes people about 30 minutes to put the plastic up, and total cost of plastic's like $30 or something. It's very affordable.
Okay. So is that like a special plastic? Or?
It is not. That's what I was getting at. It's basically just a plastic tarp. You can get big rolls of plastic, like 1 or 2 millimeter. As long as it's plastic, water can't come through it. So you don't have to have any I'm sure if you called a high-end waterproofing company, they'd be like, we got special plastic made from Mars, and you know, it's $1 million. But most waterproofers are just using, you know, thin plastic. They hang it up. It does the job, you know, because nothing can get through plastic, whether it's thin or it's thick.
What's like a waterproof for the floor for the yeah. So right now it's like a commercial plastic screwed on the square ones, the like a vinyl or plastic floor, screw on the concrete, right?
Yep.
So when I am planning to put like a laminate floor in it or something. So do I need to do a plastic like a big barrier underneath the floor?
Not usually. Well, you will have it when you do laminate. It comes with a pad, and if you're going over concrete, that pad has plastic on the back of the pad.
Okay.
So if you're buying the pad for under the laminate, you just let them know you're on a concrete floor, and they'll give you a different type of pad, a moisture barrier pad built into it.
Okay. Right now they already have a plastic floor on it. It's like a squares by square.
Yeah, I would.
But
I mean, I don't really know if you have to do it or not. The plastic, the different type of pad that goes under the laminate is like, I mean, it's a difference of 10 cents a foot. So it's not really worth talking about. I probably would do it just not to void any warranties or anything.
Okay, I see. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So MLS questions. I didn't see anybody raise their hand on anything for the MLS or anything you guys want to dig deeper with.
Hey, Mike, this is Brian.
Hey, man.
I just wanted to know, could we go over a property? A couple of ones you pulled up earlier. I recognize the area because I done my last rehab over there, and you actually pulled up one in Brentwood. On that side of Brentwood, I know the values are like $50,000 higher than on the side where I did my last rehab.
Okay.
But I was having a issue trying to analyze it because I really wasn't sure what the ARV on this particular property was. I think I can get in the ballpark, but I can't really come up with something I feel comfortable with.
So the comps are a little bit tricky. You're kind of getting like conflicting information.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, what is it? What do you think what is you're struggling with in order to kind of make a decision?
Right, let me pull up the property.
Yeah, go ahead and you can screen share if you'd like, and I can see it and you can walk me through it. I'd like to do this anyhow because honestly, a big part of winning deals for everyone is being able to analyze them in a good way, like really making sure you get the highest value that's reasonable, not too high, not too low, getting the renovation to be as affordable as it can be without being too low or too high. Because see, people think you get too high. Well, okay, no consequence. There's actually more money lost in overestimating things because you never win deals and you never have an opportunity to make money. Obviously, underestimating is bad too. So the real thing is you got to get it right. It can't be either. It has to be accurate. So when you come to the analyzation, it comes to comping, and it comes to running your repair costs, you just want to get accurate with it. And practice is how you get accurate, and constant masterminding around it. So let's see. Are you in a place where you can share your screen, Brian?
Yeah. I'm just trying to get everything up.
Make sure. I don't think. Okay. God, I don't think I have it. Okay, cool.
No,
so
I'm just trying to pull everything up.
Yeah, no problem.
My screen.
While he's doing that, does anyone else have a question?
Yeah.
Hey, Marlo. You're breaking up a little bit, Marlo. You want to try again?
Yeah. I was able to check out more today, and I saw like the basement.
I can't. You sound a little drunk because it's going.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you better now. Yeah, you sobered up.
Mike, can you hear me now?
I can hear you a little better. Yep, go for it. Try now, see if it works. No, not so much. All right, I think it's signal problem.
Yeah. I'm at the property right now. Let me just go ahead and just text my. I'll go ahead and just text my.
Okay, I'll look for the chat. Okay. Sorry about that. It's let me see, and I'll answer it. Do you stay away from the basements that are flooded? No, I actually love the basements that are flooded, and I love foundation issues. I love all that. And so one of the cool things is a really big indicator for you guys to look for is anything that might run some of your competition off. So if you're feeling a little bit weird when you walk in a house, like, man, that one was nasty, it had a lot of mold in it, and man, I just don't know how much that's going to cost, then what I would advise to you is to say, okay, well, let me learn about it. Let me figure out how much it costs to fix the foundation, to pump the water out, to get, to get the mold taken care of, because there's a lot of your competitors that are just going to walk out of there and not even compete for it. And what I found is like really good is for me, once I learned about it, it actually ended up like netting me a handful of deals every year that I would get that other people would look at and they'd be like, Mike, I don't know what you're looking at. That place was a mess. I look at a place that's a mess and I always look at, so basically my math is always like, how do I get it back to ground zero? So ground zero being, if it has, like, say it had water in the basement, there was mold and, those two things, I'd be like, okay, what would it take to go ahead and gut out the basement, waterproof it, rip all the mold out, and then clean it up? And if I was like probably 5K to waterproof it, a couple K to get rid of the mold, and maybe 10 grand, I would just be like, cool, I'll still make an offer. It's just going to be 10 grand less. The thing is, you often can get those a little cheaper because you've run a lot of people off and a lot of people don't buy it unless they can get a good deal. The house that I bought that was a train wreck with all the mold in it, like I took in the whole high level mastermind and nobody wanted it. Robert, everyone, they were like, nope, nope, nope. And I was like, Robert, there's always a price, you'll take it. So I ended up just throwing 15 grand on it, and 15 grand was enough for me to get the mold done, fix the roof, fix the floors, and got all that done. It looked great. And we're going through it right now, actually. So that's kind of how we do it. We're always like, so when we see something flooded, we see a foundation problem, instead of like saying, hey, that's just too much for me, what I would suggest is just, let's all talk about what it would be and what it would cost. And then you might have a chance to get a deal because honestly, like, a lot of your competitors might just be overwhelmed by it and won't know how to fix it. I can walk you through how to fix any of that, what it costs, and give you the really good costing for it. And it's not anywhere near as most expensive as you might believe. TJ just did a deal where he had to do waterproofing in a foundation problem, and it had a little bit of mold, and he was able to do the waterproofing for $2,400, fix the foundation for $2K, and it was like $500 to clean the mold up. So he literally is like under $5K, he did all three things, and we only got that deal because it had those issues. Now, for the normal human being, and TJ's in the higher level group, that's Nikki's husband, for you guys who don't know. I know most of you guys probably know Nikki or heard of her, but that's her husband. He was helping with that. He was able to get that done for like 5K, but legitimately, that was like 15 to 20K in work. And if most investors would have looked at that, they easily were adding 20K off. So I added 10K off, and that 10K that I put in it versus the 20 was the difference in me getting it. Like, I won the deal because everyone seen it as 20K and I knew we could do it for 10. Now TJ just decided to take it to the next level and do it even cheaper, and he got it done insanely cheap because he found some like laborers and managed them. And I mean, he really was like trying to hack the number a little bit, but he added a lot of value to his renovation, by the way, by doing that, because he could have started off like spending 15K on a 5K problem. 10K in the hole, right? But now he started off like 5K in the good, which is kind of nice. That's really cool to do. So yes, anytime you see water, you see foundations problems, man, we love all that stuff as long as you can solve it, which there's always a way to solve it. It's just a matter of headache, price, what's it going to cost? I mean, there's nothing you can't fix. People are like, what if the foundation's too bad? Like Glory's foundation is like pretty awful, but we went through there and figured out how to fix it. She probably can do that for about 5-6K. She's gonna have to, be creative and figure some stuff out, but she got the deal because nobody else wanted it because of the foundation. So I kind of look for those things, Marlo, to answer your question. If I see something like that, I get excited because I have a history of winning those deals more often. So I kind of like anything gives me a little bit of an edge. Hopefully that answered your question. Let's see, Brian, whenever you're ready, feel free to pop up, man, whenever you're ready. And
all right, I'm about to share it now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
can you see it?
I can, yeah. It's all up now.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm having a problem that you said because these comps aren't even the comps that I saw earlier. So I'm not even sure what I did to find the comps. But
Well, why don't we go through it and do it so we can see? So is this your house right here?
yeah, this is actually one of the ones that you pulled up earlier.
Okay.
And like I said,
Let me see the 4 pictures
okay.
for a little bit we have.
So it looks like it's partially gutted.
That's good. It's pretty
And
small.
yeah, and that's what I wanted to talk about because I had to do an addition to the last one I rehabbed over here.
Mm-hmm. Would you put the addition on the second floor or off the back of
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I mean, it was a big dormer that I put on the top of it.
Yeah, so this would be like a second floor because I don't think you have enough height. It doesn't look like. So you
And that's
probably would have to just rip it
actually
off.
yeah. But you know, that's actually it's actually three levels.
It's 3 levels.
Yeah,
Oh, so there's a second floor to it.
yeah, and that's that's why just want to
You
show
might
it.
need to get your eyes on it though to just see how realistic it would be to put a dormer on it. If you could put a dormer on it, that's not. Oh, okay, I see. But you can look at that and see that that's our house right here, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so this is a better view, so you could actually see
It
the
shows a little
house.
more that you might be able to do a dormer, might be able to work it out, but it might only be like 6 foot tall up there, which means you would struggle getting like it all approved. So it might require you putting your eyes on it because here's what would matter for this house. It looks like you got plenty of yard, location looks good, but the question mark is, can you finish the basement and could you like throw a dormer on the upstairs? Like if you could just throw a dormer on the back even and put a
hmm
master suite up there, it probably solves most of your problems.
Yeah,
And if you can finish the basement, amazing, right? You know,
that's what I was thinking.
now you can cap this thing out and squeeze a family in there and they would love it. But if you get there and it's like second floor is 5.5 foot tall at the highest and the basement sucks, well, that could greatly change the deal, obviously. Right. And because now you're going to be, you know, you don't want to try to sell 2-1 in Brentwood. You really need this to be something much better than that. You need to get the 3.2 minimum. So if there is a way to get the 3.2, because you're
Yeah,
only 674 right now, it probably isn't counting the second floor if I had to guess.
I don't think it is.
I'm sure it's not either. So if somehow you could take that unfinished second floor and make it a finished floor, well, obviously your 674 goes up to over 1,000, and now you got something, you know, that's more mainstream, right? It would actually fit. So the question marks, let's go ahead and comp it as if we can get this to about 1,000 square feet and hopefully do something with the second floor and finish the basement. Do you mind going down on the listing to the part it says? If you just scroll down a little, you'll see it says building info. Well, right there, and see at the bottom it says basement type other. So God, of course it doesn't tell us anything. Other's not usually good because if it says unfinished, then that means it generally can be tall enough. But other, it's like who knows, right? You'll have to put your
hmm
eyes on it and see. Now, if you could not finish the basement but could do the second floor, you're back in the game again. But what would not make where the ARV is going to be extremely low is if you literally are just 670 some square foot 2-1, and that's all that's possible for this house. If that's all you can do with this, then that ARV is going to skyrocket down.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be like a lot less than the main comp, right?
yeah, because the last one I did over here, I put 2 more bedrooms in it, and I was able to sell it for 355. That was on this Coldmar Manor end. Now over here
Hello?
on this on this side, the ARV is a lot higher. It's at least by minimum $50,000 higher.
When you cross that street, one,
Yeah.
wow, what is the difference?
Because
Cottage City's better than Mount Rainer's usually really good, right?
and that's the thing because this is really close to Mount Rainier. This is Rhode Island Avenue going through
Yeah.
Hyattsville. That's a
Okay.
historic
Yeah.
area. And
Okay.
about, I mean, it's not bad over here,
But
because
it's just like more desirable on the other side. Okay.
yeah.
So maybe what I would do, anytime that I get where I feel like there's huge change, it's not far from me. I would go ahead and just like do a radius or do like maybe a draw a square in the area I
Okay.
know is good, and I'd go 1,000 days back
Okay.
because I don't care about something that's 3 years old. What I really care about is that I'm comparing apples to apples. So that would be the first advice. If you can do that, we can look at it now because I just want to see everything that's sold in the area I consider to be where I'm at. Right. So I might, you get kind of just don't get into Mount Rainier, obviously. And if you can't do the drawing piece of it, then you easily, so yeah, you go 0.5, but maybe put a little thing in it. I don't even know how to do it. I haven't done. So okay, you're on the right hand side, and I see. So you're actually on like what's called Cottage City. Sounds like
Let me go back and try
sounds
to clear
rougher.
this. Well, yes, maybe it depends on what's happening over there sometimes.
I know. I mean, the whole area is like blowing up from price standpoint. So if if you haven't rehabbed there in like over a year, it's probably something very different. Because I know the numbers have been skyrocketing in that area. Mount Rainier and everything's been crazy. But sometimes, I'm glad you noticed that. Whenever you notice something like that, then key is just tighten up your area and then go farther back. So you just could look at everything on that side of Rhode Island. So I don't know if you can't see mine, but if I just go up Rhode Island and go out a bit, just try to get everything on that side of Rhode Island that you think would be relevant. Obviously don't go into DC or anything. You're like walking distance to DC, so that's good. And the one you'd want to pick is that one. It looks like an octagon. That one right there.
So
Yeah, that's the one.
Now I got to
polygon
all over again.
Hit the thing right there. It looks like a light. That's a brush. It gets rid of it. That yellow thing. There you go.
It's too late now.
That's okay. Just let's see. Well, that comp's not even where you are, so you definitely got to get the stuff going the other way, right? You got to get the stuff that's right by you.
All of it. So
does that make sense? You know what I mean? You'd want to kind of be in the, so like you kind of went to the right of the little dot, right? But you'd want to kind of have like, you'd want to go to the District of Columbia and then go all the way to where you were and get all that stuff on that side of one. That way you're not getting anything on the other side, but you're totally getting, you're
talking about this stuff over here?
No, not that stuff over there. Stay on the side of one you're on, but go from District of Columbia line, if you see that right there, up to like where that looks like it's a field or something. Like all that stuff.
So like this whole area?
Yeah, because really your main thing is that area is probably very similar. I mean, it's 2 blocks away, but it's not like 2 blocks where it almost is going into a different neighborhood. Because I could see like if you go even a couple blocks, but then you get into Brentwood versus Cottage City, it could be, it could be different. It's good to know that. So yeah, go like that. Now go all the way up by the Cottage City and the field and the water, and then just come back and connect it. And then you'll get better stuff this way. There you go. It's working pretty good. Okay, perfect. That's what I would do. Now, obviously you got that. Now, if you go to criteria and just, go ahead and put like 1,000 days back, and it's going to be, you got closed. You got 150 on the closed. So, yep, just put 1,000 on it. Probably want to get the pending in there too. Click that. That's probably all good. I mean, that's all solid. Yeah, let's see if that worked. 40 some matches. Now let's pull the results up and let's check them out, see what we're thinking. So, and then what we do once we pull the results up is just click them from highest to lowest. If you go on that agent one line, you can go highest to lowest first. And just organize them before we start looking at them. And that's all we're trying to do usually.
It's moving a little slow now.
Yeah, sometimes it does. MLS can be. I bet a lot of people use it this time in the evening too, like realtors doing stuff at home. Oh crap, I got my thing in front of you. Okay. So if you click the little price where it says price, if you click that.
Yeah, I just organize it.
Oh, did you go, is it lowest to highest or highest to lowest?
It's lowest to highest, starting at 174.
So go highest to lowest when you're comping and lowest to highest when you're looking to buy. That makes sense? Gotcha. Yep. Yeah, now turn it and do the gallery and let's just start saying, okay, this applies, this doesn't apply. And then we click anything that applies as we're going through. That makes sense. Like we're saying, oh, that's a pretty good comp. Then we're going to click it. So this one, obviously, 1,500. It's a little big, so we're going to pass on that one.
All right.
It's a lot bigger than yours. Even if you do an addition, you probably might not be able to get there.
Dang, I'm not used to this gallery view. I got to figure out.
And it doesn't have the square footage on this one. So it's just not there, but we can look at it and say, it might be close to yours. I mean, we're obviously looking for stuff that's being closer to like 1,000 foot or 1,100 foot. And what is your legal subdivision? Do you know that?
Cedar Croft, but
Oh,
all that's
good.
considered
But also
Brentwood.
municipalities, Brentwood, but Cedar Croft is so okay. If we see something in Cedar Croft, that's obviously going to be a little more, a little more official. Okay.
Okay, this is the one I saw earlier. This is a really close. This is a really close one to it.
That looks good, by the way. Very good location, similar house. You throw an addition on yours,
Yeah.
you probably would be comparable to that.
And this is the one that I could find with the closest value, but for some reason I couldn't find it.
Okay, so hold that one. Let's keep going. And then what do we
This
got
one's
here?
a good one too. It's
Yeah,
almost
try
the same.
that. I mean, it's 1,300. If you can get a second floor, you'd probably be up in that ballpark. Keep going. Let's see. What
That one's pretty close.
That's only 952, so that's a great one. Cottage Terrace. I got 40th Street. Oh, that looks like yours. That 40th Avenue. That actually looks like your house, by the way.
And it's on that same side.
Yeah, I mean, legitimately, that looks just like your home. Like maybe they just finished the second floor. You might not even need an addition. So when we come to that, we're going to look at that one more closely because it could be that like they're giving it 670 something, but legitimately, if you just finished the second floor, you might have where you just put sheetrock up there and you get your square footage. I've seen that quite a bit. Let's look at this Quincy. That actually looks just like yours too. Oh, that's 40th still. No, Quincy looks like yours. So great. See, now we're seeing some stuff that I would say is very close to yours, or at least it looks in the pics. So definitely want Quincy. It looks rehabbed. Bunker Hill. I've done
That's
like
a little. That's a little.
that's
big.
way different. Yeah, I would pass on that. It's just so different too. I've done like 2 on Bunker Hill.
Yeah,
37th Street.
Similar.
Similar enough. Go ahead and pick it up. Small. It looks like yours. It's on your street, very close to where you are. That one,
Yeah, I ain't too sure.
a little
about
different. Yeah, that one looks a little different. Yeah, but
I think it's going to be bigger because a lot's like 2,000 square foot bigger. I know that doesn't mean anything, but
yeah, but I know what you're saying now. Okay. All right, pick this one up. Now what you do is go down to refine, right next to actions. Hit that. Now go over and hit narrow. Got it. And then now we have comps to look at. And there's a couple that we really like, by the way, obviously. So why don't you go down to the 2 we really like first? I always start with the ones that looked most relevant. And that was the ones that kind of look just like our house.
That was this one, definitely this one. Well, I like these 2.
Well, you like those 2, but which ones actually look the most like your house? Because there's 2 of them that look legitimately like identical to your house.
I guess it'll be
not that one. Nope, keep going.
Oh.
If you had to pick a twin.
Oh yeah, it was this one.
Is that one? And I think the one under it too. But that one is like, these 2 look like your house. So that's why I would start here, because that's going to get like the things that are really truly like A comps are like, they literally look like your house. So let's just look at those because they're actually pretty high comps, by the way. So they're not like chump comps. They're pretty solid. That makes us happy to see something that's similar because they'll give us a better understanding. So let's just go ahead and pull those up and just go into full detail on those. Either one's fine.
You want to enlarge the pictures?
Yep, that's perfect. That's usually my first step is just to really look at the pictures, take it in. Yep, I mean, as we look at it more and more, it looks even more like your house. Rehab, so that's awesome. Pretty cool door. Very small looking too, man. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, well,
very tiny.
Yeah, they're not really big over there.
I mean, this looks like what I imagine your house would look like if you could do the second floor. This really could be a very...
This looks really similar to the one that I did.
Now, what we want to find out about this, obviously, is there any additions on it? We want to try to like look at the pics and figure out if they put any additions on. Did they finish the basement? So, because sometimes there'll be an addition off the back or something that they don't put on the record.
They didn't do it upstairs.
They got the upstairs though, so you can see so that's going to be your question. Can you make that happen upstairs? The answer is yes. Then good.
Yeah, I don't think I can because their ceiling looks a little higher.
Yeah. You haven't been in this one or no?
No.
Okay, so you'll find out. You're gonna have to go to it, obviously,
All right.
to find out exactly. And then the question, and it does have a finished basement. So there's some of your things you want to kind of figure out. But what we can find is if you can make this comparable to that, it's a 375. So, you know, those numbers are making some sense because on a house that small, you put, even if you put like a dormer or something on there and kind of just renovate the whole thing, you're not
And
looking at more than 75.
and you know what? My number I came up with was a 370 ARV.
Or you got, did good then. I mean, it's very close. So that one, and what help did they get on that?
Say it again.
Now that we've seen the house and we've
Oh,
got they have a finished upstairs, finished basement, and they've obviously maximized the first floor. Other than that, I don't think there's anything better or different about the house. So we just got to see if we can compare apples to apples. And then when you look at that one, the only other thing, concessions, 500, so nothing. Okay, cool. Then we'll look at the next one. And that took 5 days to sell, by the way. All right, it's only 1,088. It's exactly what I think yours would be if you either finished your upstairs or dormered it out. So now let's look at this one because this one actually probably looks more like yours. At least it does from the pic. Both very small looking. Not really a high-end renovation either.
Yeah, they didn't do a lot to the kitchen, but it still sold at
It's all
370.
new, but it's super galley. I know. I don't usually like the galleys too much, but yeah, they kind of went very. I mean, it's nice, but they didn't add anything
They didn't even
extra.
stage it.
They did. And it's tiny, but that's
Well,
kind of
that's
what
what
you
I
got
was
going on.
saying. You know, when you get over there on that other side,
Yeah. And this is really close to you, right? This is on your side. Well,
oh
everything
yeah,
is. Okay, finished basement. I don't know if it has an upstairs, but I think it might.
it doesn't look like it's got. I think it may only be the 2 levels.
Basement, the first floor.
Yeah.
It does have that little addition by the deck, though, so it looks like that could be some extra square footage. That little addition there. So I don't know. Okay, where are all the bedrooms at, though? Doesn't this have like a lot of bedrooms? Now we can find. If we look
Oh,
on the
that's
listing,
one
it'll
of them.
tell us.
That looks. It says bedroom, but that looks like a door outside.
That's a basement. Basement bedroom.
Okay, yeah. This is the main floor bedrooms.
Yep, they'll tell you if you go back to the listing, it'll tell you where how many beds you have up and down and all that. We'll get a feel for what we're looking at. But very comparable to yours, honestly. So obviously, if you see it, we'll know more. With that being said, if you click it, then you just go down a little, and it says 2 on the main, 2 on the lower, 2 on the lower, and then 1 bath. So that's exactly what they did. I'm doing a house right now with the same dimensions.
Okay, this one
out that
is
way in PG.
this one's a raised Rambler. Mine is a Cape Cod, so that's why it's only 2 levels.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, this looks like yours, by the way, even though
It
it's
does
raised
just
Rambler.
look. Yeah, they didn't
So-
give any closing help either.
Yep. So 375. So that's pretty consistent.
But yeah,
Took a little-
when I sold mine, I didn't give any closing help either, and I raised the price.
Yeah, that seems like something that happens there a lot. So if we threw 375 on there, I mean, the question that's still the big question mark, and I think you just need to answer this question, is there any potential way of getting a second floor finished space up there, and can the basement be finished, and what would it take to do both? Because then we can kind of run the numbers. If we think it's 375, they want 200. If you can get 75 into this little house, that would do a lot. Because first of all, 75 goes a long way on a house that's only 1,000 square feet. Like you only got so much that you can spend money on. So knowing that you likely can do it for 75, the question mark is can you finish the upstairs and the downstairs? If you can, it's 375. If you can't, then we're gonna have to recomp it. It's gonna be difficult. It's probably gonna skyrocket down, honestly, because I mean I could see it being as low as 300 even. And if it's really just a 2-1, it could literally be like 250 for all we know. I mean, because it just doesn't accommodate anyone. It was a big scheme. I mean, when I say scheme, it sounds negative, but I guess which is a big pattern in that area is like lots of bedrooms and baths, like families being able to like optimize. This thing's only 1,000 square feet. You know, they got all kind of beds and baths. They really optimize the space. So take a look at it and tell me, like, see it and tell me what you think.
Because I looked at it with the intention to do an addition to the upstairs like I did on the last one.
Well, if it's just a dormer addition, that'll cost you about $5 to $10,000, and that definitely could be done. I'm assuming 75 is enough to do like a simple addition, not like a second floor, whole second floor or anything.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what the last one cost me, and it was pretty big, and it added about 400 or 500 extra square feet to the house.
One thing I can tell you pretty conclusively is that they're not using any upstairs square footage for that layout. So it's
I don't think
600
they
some.
are.
So if you can do anything up there, then you're going to gather a lot of square footage, and it's going to put you into the realm of these comps. So go see it and see what's possible, and then go from there. Obviously, I think that's the best way. Now, if we go back to the original listing, it's just sitting at 199 for a long time.
It's 23 days.
Oh, so it's not that long, and it was actually at 225. So it's kind of going down.
I
So
think
yeah,
it came back on the market. Was that this one?
it says it has one bed upper, one lower. Main and upper, like it has a second floor. Okay. Yeah, go check it out, man. Tell me what you think. I think you're going to get some answers once you see it. All right. So that's the level we're looking at it, but there's, obviously to be great at comping, there's like a lot of question marks of what you can do to it. If there's anything that holds you back from kind of getting up there with the A+ comp, you just have to take that in, and it becomes more difficult to comp. So I would say in this neighborhood, if you can't get those things, that's probably why it's sitting. But you might be look at it and say, man, I can do X, Y, Z. And whatever the number is when you go there, like even if you had to rip the whole second floor off and put another second floor on it, you would just determine what that cost is going to be, and you would make an offer based on that. If if it was reasonable, obviously. But I always like, whenever I see a property, I like to walk away from there with a number I'd buy it at. And then I leave it up to them to say yes or no, because once you've done most of the work, there's no reason not to finish it. Does that make sense? Because there's always the potential that you could get it for the number that works.
What do you think a rehab number would be on this?
I would guess if you were finishing a basement, doing a first floor, and putting a second floor dormer on, 75K. But I mean, it's not that bad, but you're going to kind of end up just redoing the whole thing. So, I mean, no more than that, because it's a very small house. And, dormers aren't that expensive, but if you're putting a whole second floor, that's a little different. A whole second floor, that's about 40K in additional. So you might be like 90 or 100 to do that. I might put it like at 100 probably.
I was just hoping like maybe just doing a dormer on the back of the second floor.
Well, the way it looks like it's laid out is the A-frame is going from left to right. So if you were doing a dormer, to be a dormer, it wouldn't be on the back. I don't think. I think it would be
An addition on the back.
On the background or on the back upstairs?
The back upstairs. Back
Okay,
upstairs.
Yeah. You totally might be able to do that, by the way, and that might be the move. So that's like the key is just getting there and figuring out what's possible. And, can you get up to par with other comps? And they were only 2 bedrooms above grade. So if you could do 1 bedroom on the first floor, master suite on the second, and then put 2 bedrooms in the basement, like you'd be in.
That's what I did on the last one. I was able to build out a master suite because I put the dormer, and then I added 2 bedrooms in the basement. There was already one on the main level.
Okay. Yeah, that's it then. So my recommendation to you now is like, let's not talk about it anymore. Get out and see it, because this is, I think it's worth seeing, obviously. Right here on paper, it makes sense. When you get out there, you might find out it doesn't, but you wouldn't be wasting your time to go see this, because if, you're a pretty smart guy, you've got a lot of abilities that not everyone has, you can do a dormer, and those kind of things might open it up for you. Right. It might give you an opportunity. What I would look at, just to make sure you're not wasting your time, is go down to the remarks and just read those very quickly. Extra special, profit in the deal, great property, great location, FHA loans, back on the market, buyer fell through, make an offer subject to release. Oh, cool. Dude, this is perfect timing. I would definitely go see this.
Yeah, I'm going to go see it tomorrow.
Yeah, there's nothing on there saying like, weird, send the prop offer or anything like that.
No, somebody just bought this because it was a foreclosure. So somebody bought it and they're trying to sell it.
They bought it off the courthouse steps?
I guess because I looked it up. I did a deed search on it.
So then one question you'd want to ask, obviously, if it's a courthouse steps, they're not saying anything about that, but it's not unusual.
Yeah, these are the people that bought it, but they bought it as a foreclosure.
So if they bought it on the courthouse steps, then you want to just get real, you want to get specific about any additional fees you might have with buying it.
Okay.
Because that could actually make it like 10 extra thousand in fees.
Even though they already bought it?
When you say they bought it, they own it already?
Yeah. This company, Come Back Terps LLC, they bought it.
What did they sell it for? I mean, what did they settle it for? Go back and look at the tax record real quick.
They bought it at. Oh, I did it on a deed.
Well, here, just hit the little tax thing up there. It's
Okay.
like a little, looks like a house. There you go.
Where is it?
It's like right up there. When you look at the little things, it looks like a house. Yeah, I think that's it.
I think they bought it for like 170 or something like that. Yep, 174 or 174.
Okay. And when was that? Oh, in 18, 2 years ago. They just let it sit. Wonder what happened. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess they were going to do something with it, never did anything. So this is clearly not like somebody just trying to wholesale it. This is somebody bought it and just never did anything with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you got a shot. I mean, it sounds like an investor just bought it and let it sit.
I tell you, well, not to get off subject, I think the same thing that happened to them is what happened to all of us. Every last one of us got hit with stop work orders. And it took a long time to lift them, and maybe they just had too many other things to deal with. So I think they just were liquidating.
Okay, well, maybe, you never know, right? I mean, that's what you'll figure out when you talk to them. It looks to me as if it's worth looking at. If you see it's good, then obviously I'd have a lot of questions like, why did the last buyer fall out? Why didn't you rehab it? What's going on with it? Anything you need to know. But ultimately, you'll be good. I mean, if you know you can do the work, then we can figure the other stuff out before you actually buy it. So yeah, let me know once you've seen it. If it looks like you don't get there and it's like, nope, none of that's going to happen. But if you think it can, then obviously let's dig in on it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Cool, man. See you.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. Who else has any questions before we go?
I have a super unrelated question.
Any question?
I've actually really enjoyed watching all this. I got a lot out of it. So how much would, for our little Cape Cod in Essex, how much would you charge to kill the basement?
Well, I'm free Saturday, and I probably get my sprayer working again. So I probably would do it for $200. Does that sound fair?
That sounds fair. You're hired.
Bam, dude.
Sign
Hold
a
on.
W-9 and
I didn't sign. I need cash. You got to write it
well,
out to
when
my
the work
wife.
is done, I will Venmo you. I will
Oh,
Zelle you.
I need money up front too, by the way.
Sorry, sir. We don't do that. We don't work that way.
And I need you to write it to my grandmother, passed away 14 years ago. Still got her
Once again,
account
sir,
open.
we don't work that way. I'm sorry.
Well, why are you being so mean? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's your problem, woman?
It's my husband, okay?
Oh, it's my investor, not my husband. It's my investor. He's an asshole. His name's Mike Green. He's an asshole. Basement, if there are kills in it, I mean, honestly, it doesn't take a lot to kills it. So, I mean, kills in
Could
it.
I do it?
So, what are you killsing it for? Just out of curiosity, like when we say
It
kills it.
smells so bad, like cat pee.
Oh yeah. So then, I mean, yes, you could.
Like a roller sprayer, what? Like what
Man,
would
just roll it, honestly. You just
Right.
go and roll it, and it don't take much to do it. Yeah, you could totally do it. Or you just get anyone who has the brain power to put the roller in a pan and roll it on the wall. I mean, it probably takes somebody, like a kid that's making $10 an hour or $15 an hour, like 3 or 4 hours tops.
Okay.
So, $100, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it'd be an awesome deal for $100 for someone.
Okay.
And you just get like 10 gallons of kills. That'd be more than enough.
10, okay, that was gonna be my next, because you buy 2 5-gallons. That's what I thought. And then am I doing ceiling, walls, and floor, or just walls and floor?
Well, if it's cat pee, it likely is the floor that's stinking bad and probably the lower part of the wall. And you don't really need to do the ceilings. It's probably, it's whatever you think is smelling bad. So it's often the floor that really is bad. So I'd probably just do maybe, wherever it looks like pee's been and maybe on the floor. So I'd probably put a focus there, which makes it a lot easier, by the way.
Yeah.
That makes it the work a lot easier.
Good question. Like I'm very, like my job sites are always very clean. Even if I go in after, I just kind of even make it even more clean. Should I shop vac the basement and then go ahead and kills it? Does that make the most sense?
I mean, at least sweep it well. I mean,
Right.
I don't know if you got a shop back at that might, but you can. Yeah, if that makes you happy. I don't want anything that makes you happy to stop doing it, as long as it don't make you go over budget. So if you want to,
I don't mind doing it myself. Like I actually like working on the property when other contractors are there, especially if it's something that I can do, because then they can come to me and ask me questions.
Yeah,
I'm overseeing their work, how they operate. So I was thinking about killing it myself. I was gonna shot back it or clean it really well, and then just kills it.
Yeah, I mean, you got it then. That's totally, and that will help, by the way. That's going to help with the pee and all that,
Yeah.
because that's generally our move now. What you might consider, and I don't know if you can even get this anymore. They have kills that's water based and kills that's oil based. If you can get the oil based stuff, it stinks a little bit, but it's actually it's way more efficient at covering cat pee.
You're saying oil based?
Yes, I don't know if they have it though, so if you might not be able to get it anymore. It's been a thing where they like try to say EPA and stuff. They don't like to sell that kind of stuff.
Right.
But if you can only get
So I
water
couldn't
based,
talk to like a Sherwin-Williams rep about that, something like that.
no, you just go to Home Depot and get it.
Okay, cool.
They'll let you know if they got oil based. And honestly, if you're just painting the floor, you probably only need like 5 gallons, honestly.
I was gonna say, do you think we really need 10 gallons?
No, start with 5.
Small. Okay.
Yep, 5's plenty.
Go to Home Depot and get more.
Yep, true.
Yeah.
You can get it by the gallon. They might even sell it in 5. So if you're getting by the gallon, you know how much you're covering. You can literally just measure it. And if you can put 1 or 2 coats, I mean, that likely will do the trick. Because when cats pee on the floor, it's difficult to get rid of. But I used to have to do that when I did hardwood flooring. Because there was cat pee, I would always kills anything before we put the new flooring down. Because otherwise, you'd start coming through.
Right.
Smell would never
And
go.
I don't want to do that because we're doing a club basement. Like, I'm moving the walls. I mean, I'm gonna paint them, of course. But we do like a thicker padding and a carpet down there. So okay, cool.
Perfect. That should be fine. That'd be real easy to do. Very good do-it-yourself item.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, man.
So, update. Contractor walked off. He wasn't making enough money. But he demoed the whole house for the most part. There's a few things. He just wasn't trying to haul everything out because he said he was losing money on the hauling. He thinks we paid him $500, but we paid him $400.
Okay.
And he's asking for $600, so we just got to give him another $100 to finish up the demo. What do you think?
I mean, did he finish the demo or no?
Front walls out, kitchen walls out, master bedroom walls out, master bathroom is gutted, with the exception of some of the towels. The towels are still in. Upstairs bathroom is mostly gutted. Most of the towels, again, are still in the ceiling towels. So it's not the majority of the work. To me, it looks done.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's probably done less than what he should have done. So, I mean, because let me just tell you how this works, and this is something that's almost always accurate. Whenever people start being slow, they're overpaid, and my guess is he feels like he's overpaid. And right now, you can do this as an exercise, but I can almost get a couple steps ahead and tell you where you are and where you're going to be. Because like right now, the move he's probably trying to make is trying to get as much money out of you as possible for at least work. So you're probably not going to be in a scenario where you need to give him anything because he likely probably need to do $400 in work. Are you currently at the house now, or?
No, I left the house and it's too dark to show you. I wish I was there.
Yeah, I got it. So
I'll show you some videos tomorrow morning, though.
Yeah, send me something like that I can look at, because it's all at the end of the day, man. Right now, your job, I would say if he's walking off the job, you don't give him a penny more. I would be my.
Oh yeah, he's not getting anything else.
Yeah, and I wouldn't let him do any more work because he don't seem capable. I would probably just cut ties and tell him to move on.
Yeah, he's walked off. I'm not even going to ask him to come back. But, I mean, in my mind, and I was telling Billy this, I mean, he's whole and I'm whole because he thinks we paid him $500, which we paid him $400. And, I mean, he feels like he did, he's good. So
I mean, you might have overpaid him at $400, but probably not by a whole lot. So you're more than whole. He might be more than whole. You might be a little less than whole, but it's okay. You're in the ballpark, so don't worry about that. The key to this kind of situation is to just fire him as fast as possible and move on and go right back to the drawing board. There's someone on there, it's good. And look at him as a little bit of a learning experience, and not playing any games with them where they start, because the first thing they do when things fall apart is they try to make a new agreement, pay me this. Their only thing they're trying to do, it's like a money grab, right? They're literally just trying to figure out some way to get you to pay them more for something that's not deserving. Right, like to make you feel guilty, and they're just hoping you'll give them a little more money so they can get a little ahead, and then they probably will do nothing. So generally it's best to just cut ties, because first of all, like straight up, $500 to do all that work is fair. Okay, it's not that hard. And in fact, these 3 days, 4 days into this suggested like he's incapable. Because a good demo guys would have came in there and just banged that out in a day. Seriously, like 2 of them. I mean, I've had like 2-man crews do some of the dirtiest, grimiest demos you've ever seen in like 3 or 4 days. I'm talking like 6, 7 dumpsters full of like craziness. But they were demo guys, right? These guys obviously aren't. And, the whole thing, I'm losing money and all that, that's not your problem. That's him that's the hustle. As soon as they start telling you how they're losing money, it's always like the way they soften you up to try to like make you feel guilty. And you will, because you haven't experienced this a bunch. So there'll be like
I do not feel guilty.
Well, I mean, there's always like a little bit in the subconscious, right? But you can logically get rid of it. But eventually you'll realize that it's just part of their manipulation. If they can crack through and make you feel a little guilty. So just give them nothing. And I would just say, hey, dude, we got to part ways, man. It's all good because you've been too long and we're bringing someone else in to finish up. It's that simple.
Yeah.
No other conversation. Okay. Like David had this with his guy, right? Where he's like, should I get him to finish a little bit? And we kind of discussed it. And it was like, he tried, but it kind of worked out the same way where he tried. But then the guy was like, give me $30,000, do something. It was just dumb. He started asking for stupid money, started playing more games. And it was really just like doing more of what didn't work, essentially, is the way you want to look at it, right? If it didn't work, then don't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. Right? Einstein, basically, we're insane. So yeah, just go back and do the funnel and get more better people, qualify them a little better on the phone. And yeah, you're fine, man. That's why we start off like this, right? This was a great way to figure out what he's about and get some practice under your belt. And it ain't like you did fine, right? I think you're good. So just get rid of him.
Gotcha.
Which is a great lesson in itself, is to fire them super quick and move on.
Gotcha. Now, quick question on the hauling. How much would that usually cost to haul? Because they were demo and hauling. This was just demo.
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's why I say he's overpaid probably. But normally, like a job like that, $700-800 to demo and haul it usually.
Okay.
Probably no more than $1,000 to do demo and hauling. The demo part of it is probably usually like $100 a load. I mean, I don't know how much stuff's in there, how bad it is, but I might be looking a couple $100 to demo. I would try to like put a number out for that.
Okay, so let's say put another ad out for 200.
Well, it needs work to be finished, so maybe put an ad out for a couple $100. See if somebody can get rid of it. You might have to pay more than that. I don't really know how much it is. So some videos will help me give you a better answer to that.
All right, I'll remember the property tomorrow and give you a video.
Do it on the Facebook Live for me on the group, okay? Because that way it'll be easy. You won't have to take and like upload it to YouTube or do any of that.
Gotcha. Okay. No problem.
And everyone in the group could be like, look at that mess, right? Don't make fun of them. Anyone puts a bad comment on there, like nobody will. Everybody's cool, but I'm just joking with everyone. But like, man, look what happened here. Now you get a demo.
I don't know, Mike. I think we did pretty good for ourselves, but I mean, you'll be the judge when I put it up there tomorrow.
Well, it's not really. It's nothing to judge, honestly. It's just what it is, right? It's not whether you did good. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. I don't think you did anything wrong. You just, this is just a part of our process, right? It's he's an egg that you crack to make an omelet. That's all.
Right.
It's nothing to do with you. You're just, you're in your omelet making process right now, and you got to crack a couple eggs. That's the way it is. That's all.
Right. Appreciate that, Mike.
Cut it out though, like with him, because I from this point on, there's nothing I can teach you that will make this better other than firing them and, then just starting over. Okay. Say that because I like to try to make things happen and work and be resourceful. But sometimes, remember, here I tell you about how I stayed till 1 a.m. Well, I've also stayed with contractors too long because I don't give up, right? I'm not a quitter. And that's not actually good. That's where some of your stuff works against you. So for me, that's against me before, where I've stuck with people too long. And I would say what I'm getting better at today is like dropping relationships where people clearly are not meeting a standard. It's not, I basically broke every standard. He's taking too long. He's saying everything's harder. It needs to be. He's blaming everyone. He ain't got nothing good going on. So, okay. Don't minimize the emotional effect of it and just start over and get someone new. And, let yourself get any kind of negativity, talk shit about him. He's a goofy.
Yeah, no, I really don't care. Like, I mean, I was trying to, it was kind of like Billy and I were laughing about the whole situation. We thought $500 do the whole job was unnecessary, but
that's really
was unreasonable, but and it was so cheap. I was just laughing for like a couple of days about it, but I mean, the lesson learned just now, we got to be smart about it on the back end and make sure we don't overpay.
Well, we never talk about this, and this might be worth talking about briefly, is we never talk about underpaying people. We always talk about, because mostly people lean towards overpaying, but rarely ever does people underpay. So you might actually be a scenario where you underpaid. So here's one thing that I've seen in my life, and it's really for every time, 20 times people want too much, like there's one dude that wants too little. And so with that being said, I would say that somebody like saying, hey, I'll do it for like way less than you know that humanly can do it for, might just end up being something you got to deal with later, if that makes sense. Because, later it's going to come to a place where it's like, what the F? I'm working for $10 a day. Like, lost all my money. So we have to protect them a little bit against that if we can. Or just disqualify them because they're so bad at it. It's going to turn into like a dramatic argument. It's going to be a big headache because honestly, if they can't get it right, we're looking for people that understand the pricing. Now I've had some people who are cheap because they just wanted to make like $100 a day, but even they were usually headaches, but they were a cheap source of doing something.
I even asked him why he accepted the job at 500 because I mean that was me and Billy just spitballing. Like he said 600, I said 5 and included hauling.
Yeah.
But
hauling and
I mean I'm fine.
Dude, you're fine, man. This is all practice, so don't worry about it. You're all good. You got your move. You've taken a step forward. It isn't complete yet, but you're fine. You let them go.
Right? Yeah. No, I think we're good. But
I'll
upload the video.
Answered your funnel? Did other people answer your funnel?
We had like 23 responses.
Sweet. Then you have more than enough to get somebody to come out there then.
Yeah.
So we talked about this earlier in the other group. Basically just go through the 23 responses, pick the top 2 to 4, get on the phone, qualify them, ask them if they work for other investors is going to go a long way. Like if I hear that they're working, hey, I commonly get loads for other investors. Like I'll take loads for them. Asking them how much do they take loads and how much do they charge? Right, because that actually could be an indicator of how reasonable they are. If they're like, yeah, I do loads, it's $100 each, but it's a nice cool big load, that's pretty reasonable. But if they're like, yeah, I do loads and it's $50 each, but it's like a small pickup truck, or it's 200, 200 would be really high, obviously, meaning that they're probably going to be high with everything else. So everything we do on the phone is about trying to get as much information as possible to make the best educated decision we can make in the blind, essentially, because essentially is in the blind, to be honest. Like you don't know until you get them out there. So anything you can do, qualify your top 3 to 5, and then just get them all, and then have a meeting time and try to get them all there as much as you can, and then choose someone if they see it, they think they can handle it, and you feel comfortable. And as long as you don't pay them up front, you're always in the driver's seat. But also, just for future reference, if something's a 500 or even 1,000-hour job, it's always going to be paid upon completion, because there's no reason to pay someone in advance when the job's so small. Just think about it like this: if you're only paying somebody even $1,000, they got to be able to do that in 2 days to make money. And if they're taking way longer, then you let that be their problem, not yours, which will speed their asses up. Think about it: you give them nothing, where would you be? Where would you be if you paid them not a penny because they're like, hey, dude, I got to have a complete job before I can get the money? I wonder if it would have went any differently. I don't know. Guess we'll never know, right?
Yeah, right. Well, we'll see. But yeah, I'll definitely give you the video and show you what it looks like.
All right, we'll take a look at it. I mean, I was only giving the feedback that if it's a small job, don't do broke down payments. Because just make them finish, right? Don't give them, because the breakdown payment makes them feel like, I could leave now. But if you owed him 400, he might have pulled it together somehow, right? He might have.
So maybe I shouldn't have paid him the first day, or I should have paid him 200 the first day.
Pay him nothing. No, so I'm glad we're talking about this. If a job's really small, then you don't really need to pay people a bunch of money ever, because $500, you should be able to do 500 hours of work in a day and a half. He gets 2-3 days in, he's like, I need money. Like, now you need to finish, man. I got, I'll pay you upon completion. When you take the job down, you make it so small like you did, it's easy to say, look, I'll pay you when you're done. What we don't want to do is pay them partial payments, because what's really tricky, and you're actually experiencing this a little bit now, is knowing what is $400 in value. That's really hard. Even with all my experience, if anyone was ever going to take advantage of me, it would be in that situation, because I think it's very debatable what $400 is when a job's incomplete. It's very tough. If you got $1,000 job and they're like, yeah, it's at least 400 work. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It's very hard to know. That's the whole point.
Right.
So if
Right.
I thought it was 500 work, I'd be like, here's 200. I always like to, if I'm like, it's about half done, I'll be like, here's half of that money even, because I want to protect against me being wrong. And honestly, I don't really like to pay people until they're done, because if you've got the big carrot hanging over them, they tend to work. And if they don't, they know you're on the receiving side. Now, if you've got a job that's 2 weeks long, then you're going to have to create milestones in the job, right? Because obviously people can't usually go 2 weeks without getting some money. So then you would just get clear on, like, when you get to this milestone, you get this, that, right? We always want to have like very clear completion dates of like, and what they get paid at that completion. So on a job this small, it would just be like, here's what it is to finish, and here's what you pay when you're done, because you don't really need to do a micro milestone. Or it could have been like,
Gotcha.
and it don't make sense to do like you do the demo versus the hauling, because they should be demoing hauling at the same time essentially. But whatever. I mean, this was a good piece of like learning, because we always get to see some of the moves people are using and some of the behavior patterns. And in general, I don't break things down, because that's kind of suggestive of like people are kind of crackheads. And if you were, like, what I'll tell you to do in the future, if you decide to do it, is break it down to what you think's right, and then pay about 60% of that.
Okay.
You'll never be wrong. You'll never be wrong in that scenario.
Gotcha. I mean, I think we definitely got at least, to me, I think it was like $700 worth work personally. Just
well,
because,
the hauling is more than that, because he was supposed to haul it for $1,000. So I mean,
yeah, but he did. I mean, he hauled a good majority of it, is what I'm saying.
Oh, he did. He took like a decent amount of loads or something.
He did like 7 loads already.
Did he really? All right, so you might be
right. Yeah, that's what he said. I know he did 4 loads yesterday. I don't know. He said he did 3 today. I can't really attest to that, but I would say that the tub is gone, and a good portion of it. But it is a lot of stuff in the back, so he probably did more like 4 loads, 5 loads in total.
Yeah. It might all be sitting in the backyard.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot in the backyard. So.
That's what I'm saying. That might be most of it. Who knows what he did? So I would, and he's asking for the rest of the money, is what he's asking for?
He's not asking for anything. He said, he's going to cut ties. We already paid him $500. He's fine.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, just block them on your phone then. You're good.
Yeah.
All right, you're good, man. So, yeah, exactly. You move on and get someone different. So it don't really matter how right or wrong you are as far as the payment. I'm only giving you some parameters to work from.
Okay.
So never get in a situation. It sounds like you might actually be in that situation. Your 400 literally might be. But when you paid him the 400, were you in that situation then? So this, you don't have to answer, just think about that. So as you're debriefing yourself, like, was there ever a time where I could have got a little beat up if he just would have left? And that would just give you some something to think through in your next hire.
Gotcha.
Right. And we're always just looking at it, we think through it, we improve. And because staying way ahead of them, not just ahead, but way ahead, is important. Especially, and it's easy to do when you have a small job, but it's very hard to do when they're doing the whole house. Because again, this is just how it works. Like when I told you about that time I stayed till 1 a.m, like, you know how that worked, right? They'd say, hey, here's the job, here's the address, here's the flooring. I go do it, and then I get done. I put a bill in the next day, and they pay me on Friday. If I put it in after like Wednesday, I get paid the next Friday. So that's kind of how subcontractors work. So when they're like, if I would have came to him and 4 o'clock in the afternoon said, I got half the job done, can you give me half the money? They looked at me like, dude, we're gonna have to get a urinalysis test. What's wrong with you? What are you on, man? So for whatever reason, I guess when people come from Craigslist, we don't get, it sounds normal, right? It's like, well, when they're from Craigslist, it's funny. So anyhow, man, don't worry about that. You're doing really well and you're moving, and that's what's important, that there's movement and that's happening, and you're learning and you're kind of getting your feet under you. So as you get the next person, if you want to hit me up, let me know, and then we'll get into doing the next job, right? Just keep jobs going. One after the other.
Gotcha. Now, so if we're doing the next job, I mean, our next job would be framing. So we should we get the funnel out there for that now?
Maybe, but yes, maybe. The question mark I was going to ask though is, do you need to waterproof? We don't know if we really kind of conclusively figured that out yet.
I'm not sure if we do. So is waterproofing comes before framing? Is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, at least the framing in the basement, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, if you wanted to hire someone to frame,
the framing will go in front of the waterproof.
it goes on top of the waterproofing. Yeah. So the waterproofing, yeah, the framing goes in front of the
Okay.
waterproofing. You got it. Exactly
Gotcha.
right. So it's kind of under it, but you could always just get someone to do the first and second floor framing
Okay.
just to keep it moving, right? Get the demo done, get the first, second floor framing done, and then
Mhm.
kind of decide what you're going to do with the basement. Just know if you
Gotcha,
do
yeah.
that, then obviously a lot of the framing, you just make sure you price it correctly.
Cut it in half. That's what we'll start with.
Probably good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
good enough. Okay. All right. Well, let me know when you get to that, and we'll kind of discuss it. I'll get you to take some measurements, and I'll tell you how to go about it.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
All right. Have a good evening.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Well, thank you guys. Good call. A lot of cool content tonight. Some cool stuff. I even picked up on a few moves. Hey, you're ain't paying me nothing. I was like, that makes sense. I forgot about underpaying people. It's been a while since I've been able to do that. So that's cool. And but it is actually something we have to be wary of. So it's all good news, man. So thanks for sharing all that. Everyone, we'll be on the call next week. And if there's anything you need in between, I think Ashley asked about deal submission. There is a link that should be on the page for deal submission. It says, hey, if you want to submit a deal here, if you don't see it, then I'll ask Tanya to post it. I'll actually put that in my notes. So if you guys want to, put something in, just ask what you need, and I'll make sure you get it. Okay. Everyone, have a good day, and thank you so much, and have a great week. Okay. See you guys.
All right. Thanks, Mike.